Hello, everyone. This is your host, Susan Rosen. And today my guest is Jodi Scott. And Jodi is involved with herbs, and I'm sure she's probably involved in a lot of other things as well. And so I'm going to ask her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about herself. Welcome,
Alrighty.
Jodi.
Well, hello, Susan. It's lovely to see you and meet you.
Yeah.
My name is Jodi Scott. I am the CEO of Sierra Sage Herbs, and we make plant-based first aid and body care products. And our
Ah,
brand is
okay.
Green Goo. So that is our plant-based first aid.
Okay.
And so my mom, sister, and I started this company together. My sister is an herbalist and a midwife, and then I was pre-med. Actually have my master's in health psychology and specialized in psychoneuroimmunology. So I was very
Wow.
much interested in the mind body medicine.
Hmm.
Um, and, in the early days of starting Green Goo, we started looking at the first aid space. My daughter was a little over a year old, and we were looking at things like neosporin and hydrocortisone and the ingredients. And what I found so fascinating was that the natural consumer was willing to abandon their natural ethos. They'd have their entire house full of clean ingredients, cleaning products, all the things, but you open up their first aid cabinet and it was full of your legacy chemical brands. And then as I started to look into this a little bit more, I found that the conventional consumer was generally dissatisfied with what was available on the OTC
Hmm.
market.
Okay.
A lot of people suffer from chronic skin conditions, and really the OTC space just accommodates to acute. Use this for 5 days, and if symptoms do not clear up, please don't continue using it, or it may cause liver damage, and go to your physician. And so, generally speaking, they found that inconvenient, and they
That's
wanted,
all. Only
yeah,
inconvenient.
inconvenient. So wanting better efficacy. So that is when we decided,
Oh.
can we make plant-based first aid that's superior in efficacy and also bring some sustainability? You saw all these tubes being thrown in the landfill. It was kind of the common package. And then, they just need some personality. So we brought this fun lifestyle brand with a funky name and cute little taglines and jokes on the packaging that really
Uh-huh.
stood out in the first aid space.
Wow. Wow. So people are connecting with that a lot. I mean,
They
it's
are.
not. Yeah.
It's been an interesting ride, to your
Uh-huh.
point. I mean, when we started this and we used the term plant-based, and I would go to a buyer at a national pharmacy and say, I've
Uh-huh.
got a plant-based alternative to, your Neosporin. And they're just looking at me going, really? What are we going to do with that? Of course, fast forward, the plant-based renaissance is here. I mean, there's
Ah,
plant-based
yes.
water, right? So
Hmm.
we've been really forging the path. Now, what's great about, we have a number of brands now. But when we first started, the reason these products work is because of the process. So we actually
Hmm.
bring the plants to our manufacturing facility where we
Uh-huh.
take it through this special extraction process, yield high amounts of the medicinal properties, and then those custom oils are put into each of these products. So these blends cannot be found anywhere else in any products, and that is why it works. But interestingly enough, we couldn't find a manufacturer for years because no one was willing to emulate that process. And it actually took someone who was suffering from eczema, or his son was suffering from eczema, to use
Oh,
the
okay.
product. And he said, you
Uh-huh.
know what? I don't know how we're going to scale it, but we're going to find a way to scale it because the world needs these products because it works. And John Hopkins has been using that product for over a decade in their scleroderma and skin condition
Wow.
department. So
Wow. How neat. Wow.
performance pays off. It works.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's great. So what other areas have you kind of, you know, gone off
Yeah.
into with this as your
So
starting point?
yeah, first aid was our number one focus. So we looked at,
Hmm.
the hero products in that space. So we have like a vapor rub, like a Vicks vapor
Okay.
rub
Yeah.
alternative called
Yeah.
Free to Breathe. We put antiviral and sleep properties in it. We have a poison ivy
Ah,
product, a cold sore product. So really, and we also look at how can we bring more value to the consumer. We're really a proponent of minimalism and
mm-hmm.
being sensitive to our environmental footprint. The aluminum tins are the most renewable material. We now see, bottled water in tins, but when we brought these tins to the first aid space,
Yeah.
very progressive. But our first aid product, that's our flagship product, it's not just a topical antiseptic, it also is your first aid kit on the go. So it's great for cuts and scrapes, but then bug
Mm-hmm.
bites, bee stings, poison ivy, if you're in a pickle. So you can really take this. If it stings, itches, burns, or bleeds, you have it with you on the go. So if you've got, we have so many people where maybe they're a diabetic and they have sores
Yeah.
that aren't healing quickly. They
Uh-huh.
use our product and they get the relief. So we
Uh-huh.
started there, but then we expanded into personal care. We have plant-based toothpaste, plant-based deodorant,
Wow.
we're yeah, pet products, pet first aid,
Uh-huh.
baby products. We also have a sexual wellness brand called Southern Butter, which is really
Wow.
fun. And we actually found the same thing. Um, People were calling and asking to use our products for intimate purposes, our Green Goo brand. And at first we were a little uncomfortable, like, what is happening here? And then the calls continued. And then friends and family started coming clean saying, hey, we're kind of curious too. So my sister
Yeah.
and I went and looked at the sexual wellness space. And what we
Yeah.
identified was very similar to first aid.
Oh,
Lots of
yes.
chemicals, no
Totally. Oh my
sustainability,
God. Yes.
natural consumer willing to abandon their natural ethos, the conventional consumer, like, hey, I'm just looking for something that works and it's okay. And so we brought that, the infusion process and the plant properties. And,
Okay.
I was talking to a longevity integrative physician
Uh-huh.
yesterday, and we were talking about how that skin down there is different. It is a different kind of skin.
Mm.
And therefore it absorbs more, which
Mm-hmm.
really gives a moment to pause to say, maybe I need to be more conscientious of what I'm putting there. But then
Mm-hmm.
in addition to, it's also because it does absorb things so well, it does well with plants. So what you find is you're using these plants and these
Yeah.
beautiful oils, and your skin is softer and it increases sensitivity. And then you're
Ah,
managing your
okay.
pH. And so,
Yeah.
and it's more than just the act of, it's
Mm-hmm.
really it's called Southern Butter is the brand.
Yeah,
And
no, I
it's
love the name. That's great.
fun, and it really celebrates more what brings you into the bedroom and not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily just the act of having sex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we have a CBD line as well for a beauty
Ah,
care with
okay.
CBD, which
Uh-huh.
is one from a anti-aging standpoint is phenomenal because we use
Wow.
full spectrum CBD,
Uh-huh.
and the hemp profile very much follows what we do with our other plants. And so you get the whole cannabinoid
Okay.
profile with chlorophyll and terpenes, and that really is a beautiful antioxidant as we're starting to age and get sun
Yeah.
exposure. And so it has some helichrysum in it, which is a beautiful anti-inflammatory,
Oh,
helps with scars and wrinkles. And it's
oh wow.
a
Okay.
lovely blend. So it's an oil face wash. Have you ever used the oil face wash?
I don't think so.
Oh, I'm going to send you some. It is like a
Okay.
game changer. It so seems counterintuitive that you're
Uh-huh.
using oil to wash your face because we've been using soap for so long.
Right.
And the oil pulls the dirt
Mm-hmm.
out of your pores, takes the makeup off, but
That makes
leaves your
sense.
skin nice and
Oh, I
soft and
bet.
hydrated.
Oh,
And
I
it
bet.
is lovely. It is lovely. I'm actually
Ah.
105 now. I
That's
just use
all?
the right. I just use the oil face wash and follow up with a little bit of repair, which is
Uh-huh.
some good
Uh-huh.
hydrating, plumping.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So I use the
Well,
least amount of body care that probably anyone does. And I'm
uh-huh.
getting the best results because it's just a beautiful combination of good plants, plant-based oils, and lots of hydration from the various plants.
Wow. Wow. How neat. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, after we get through, I'll tell you about what I use. And I don't know if you'll have been, you might be familiar with them as well. But
Very good. And I'm learning more
anyways,
about
yeah.
telomeres. Have you
Oh
spent any
yes,
time with?
telomeres. Yes.
Right. It's a very, here we started these plant-based solutions long before we understood telomeres. But
Uh-huh.
what we're finding as more research starts to come out, how much your epidermis, your skin
Yeah.
plays in this longevity. And that there's,
Okay.
more
Yeah. So
enzymes in.
okay, so let's
Okay,
do a
you go.
timeout. And why don't you explain to everyone else who may not know what telomeres are, what they are, and start with that first, I think.
So I'm still learning a lot about this
Oh yeah,
space, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
find it incredibly fascinating. So the telomeres, we'll call them the end caps of your
Hmm.
chromosomes, your DNA, right?
Right.
And they are there to protect your DNA and your chromosomes. And so over time, they start to shorten. And then,
Hmm.
when
Hmm. Yep.
they get too short, they are connected with all kinds of,
Uh-huh.
various diseases, cardiovascular,
Right.
skin, and aging and so forth. And so what we're learning is that we can measure more of our longevity and also manipulate these to regenerate to help us as we're
Oh
aging.
wow.
And
Okay.
we're finding that some of these herbs have an impact on that in your skin. So
Ah.
calendula, which is one of our favorite herbs, it's
Yeah.
in
Oh, is that how you
essentially
pronounce it? I always,
calendula.
yeah,
A lot of people say calendula.
yeah, exactly. Who knows? Who knew that,
Yeah. And so calendula is one of our favorite herbs, and it's in essentially
Uh-huh.
all of our products.
Oh.
And it is showing that it has a strong interaction with our telomeres. And so this product or this
Oh.
ingredient has been shown to, increase blood flow, which then
Hmm.
increases oxygen, which then, reduces free radicals and helps reduce inflammation and also stimulates our lymphatic system.
Oh,
And
okay.
all of those obviously having an impact. And so there's some, enzymes in our skin that
Hmm.
are, we can rejuvenate. And
Hmm.
so, I think that's why we see the physical results, like when we're using Green Goo and the helichrysum and the blue
Mm, mm,
chamomile, it, in the hydration, hydration
hmm.
obviously has an impact on our cellular happiness
Hmm. Yeah.
and reducing the oxidation. And, you see so many products that kind of give you pseudo hydration, right? Like
Yep. Yep.
semi-permeable membrane. They play with your pH so that they can kind of plump your skin up for a minute, and
Yeah.
then it goes away because eventually your skin has to find its balance.
Hmm.
And I'd say the difference with Green Goo, which is the more you use it, the less you need it because you're giving the
Uh,
skin the nutrients that it needs. And those plant-based oils become the transporter for bringing in the nutrients. Because, I mean, calendula ingested also
interesting.
has, medicinal properties.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it's been really fascinating to see more research coming out in skin health and how
Hmm.
it may be impacting us,
Hmm.
um, you know,
Hmm.
systemically, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Kind of like gut health, like what we're learning with gut
Oh,
health. It's
yeah.
like our
Yeah.
skin and our guts are like
Oh,
cutting
they're
edge
very
right now.
similar, actually. Yeah.
I mean, armpit, that's another new one. The armpit is a fascinating piece of tissue. Like we know it looks different. We know it looks, relative to the rest
Uh-huh.
of our body, but we're
Yeah.
starting to learn that the transdermal absorption there is significantly higher than the rest of our body. And of course, it's next to our lymphatic
Ah,
tissue, which is
okay.
important.
Yeah.
And
And our
we like
hearts.
in our hearts, exactly. And
Yeah.
so here we've been talking about in the armpit, like we don't want it to smell bad,
Right.
that's number one. And
Yeah.
then number two, the natural, sort of renaissance around deodorant is
Mm,
what ingredients not to have. There's so many,
bingo.
right. But I think the next conversation is, well, what ingredients can we have? Because maybe the armpit portal has more things that it can be doing. So, like our deodorant has ginkgo
Oh,
biloba,
uh-huh.
ashwagandha, holy basil. I mean, it's like having a cup of
Wow.
tea for
Yeah.
your armpit, and then giving you some nutrients. So, um, I love that we're in this place of integrative, holistic medicine while
Uh-huh.
also really advancing in terms of, what we think our bodies are doing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's one of those aha moments, right? It's the oh God, you mean I didn't why didn't I think of that, right?
It's fascinating. I mean, when I
Yeah.
started in health psychology, this concept of neuroplasticity was very much,
Mm,
you're going to get to a certain age and you're not going to be able to learn anymore. And that's what
right.
neuroplasticity is. That's the nature of our brains. And of course, we're learning that, like, no, that isn't
Right.
the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
It isn't that all of a sudden we can't learn new things and there's atrophy. And um there's a lot of opportunities for us to build upon that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just kind of look at it as, okay, well, it's not that I can't do the same things. I just maybe can't do them quite as quickly.
Right. And to be safe, you want to be safe, right? I always say I
Yeah.
can do a cartwheel in my mind, but that doesn't mean I should do one.
Good point.
Right. Right. Doesn't
Very
mean I
good
should
point.
do one.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And I used to be able to drink 2 beers or 3 beers, but I can't do that anymore.
Right. Oh, that's real. Doesn't feel the same the next day anymore.
Oh,
Um,
no, no.
yeah. But I think that is the beauty of now. I feel like there are more products available to us to, let's say we do need to relax or unwind at the end
Mhm.
of the day, but we want to complement our chemistry. I went to this
Right.
wonderful mushroom coffee shop the other night for a meeting, and I
Oh my
had
God.
dandelion espresso with some
Whoa.
reishi and
Uh-huh.
lion's mane and ashwagandha. And it was an alternative to coffee after
Yeah.
dinner,
Right.
caffeine
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I slept amazing.
I bet. I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah.
And
Wow.
that wouldn't have been at least commercially available. If you're an herbalist, of course, we keep those things in our house, but
Hmm.
to be able to go out and have a meeting and have something that wasn't a cocktail instead,
Yes.
I
Yes.
felt great.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And the other good thing about when we're living, I mean, the time
Mhm.
of life isn't the right word, but our time period,
There you go. I like that.
okay, is is that you don't necessarily have to be living in a place that offers all this in your neighborhood grocery store.
Truly.
um, you know, 10, 20 years ago, it was not available like this. I mean, the internet was starting up, but people weren't hadn't jumped on it and started selling things, which they've gone a little overboard, but that's a whole nother
Hmm.
conversation. But it's so that's what's so amazing right now
I mean, we
is
can
that,
have this conversation
yeah,
and talk about dandelion root
oh my
tea,
God,
and you can
yes.
go to Amazon and go order it, and you can make it at home. And I love that information is available for people.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's another segue for you. So we started
Okay.
a gratitude app. And again, looking at like mindset and looking at, yes, we're delivering a product.
Mm.
We really believe in the plants and the plants with
Hmm.
purpose. We bring in essential oils that have an Ayurvedic component to it. But back to my health psychology background, like mind body medicine is amazing and so connected. And
Hmm.
there's more research out there now that shows that ending your day with gratitude
Hmm.
has real physiological effects on your
Hmm.
mindset and on your health.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
taking a few minutes to maintain that practice throughout the day and end the day that way, it's
Hmm.
almost like amplifying the herbs that you take. You have your
Yes.
dandelion root tea, but then it's coupled with mindset and you
Uh,
get real great results. And it
Yeah.
even works with neuroplasticity and learning new things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's 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 really is amazing the things that have been coming out into the common land of information.
It is. And I'm in
Yeah.
a entrepreneur group.
Uh-huh.
And I think for the first time, like entrepreneurs historically have sacrificed their health for their business.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that has
Mm-hmm.
been a common practice. And
Mm-hmm.
now there is this mantra, if you will, of taking your health back.
Yeah.
And if you can take care of your health as an entrepreneur, you are doing your team a service. You are doing your
Oh, for
product a
sure.
service.
Yep.
And so it's been wonderful to learn even more resources that are out there, whether it's going to your physician and getting certain tests done and making that a culture, I think
Mm-hmm.
is really great, because it used to be a culture of, work until you fall over for the day.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Work until you drop.
Yeah. And yet you can probably produce the same results in
Mm.
less time when you're
Mm-hmm.
more mindful and more present with how you're spending that time. And then you get better
Oh, for
results.
sure. Oh, I was going to say, and whatever comes out of it is better.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Because
find my team emulates it
mhm.
too. Like if you're walking the talk, then your team is doing that.
Yeah. 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 No, exactly.
Yeah, we do a
Exactly.
thing where if you can take a phone call instead of a Zoom, take the phone call and go for a walk and have a talk and get some exercise. And
Okay.
you find you're more present with the person that you're communicating with, because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes people are Zooming and there's 10 people on and they're just watching each other work and they're not paying attention. Now there's a time and a place, right? You need to share a screen, you need to
That's
share
right.
some data.
That's right.
But if
That's right.
you can get outside and you can have those intentional moments, I mean, again, another quality of life and
Uh-huh.
longevity
Oh, yeah.
attribute.
Yeah, absolutely. And, following up on what you were saying, I mean, so you have a phone conversation, and then when you get back to your office, you send the information that you were talking about.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
this is not rocket science.
And our
It's
bodies
just
deserve
normal
this.
logic.
Right.
Hello.
Truly, truly. But I mean, I remember feeling guilty the first time I
Oh,
did
I'm
that. I felt,
sure. Oh
oh
my
my
God,
gosh,
yes.
like I'm a slacker. I'm not
Oh,
working hard
yes.
enough.
My business is going to go to hell, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. They're not
And
going to
then
come back. They're not going to want to deal with me.
yeah. And then I can't tell you how many people sent me little thank you notes that said, thank you for that call. I'm
Uh-huh.
doing this now. I got
Yeah.
10,000 steps today and still got all of my phone calls done and actually saved time because I didn't have to go to the gym because I got fresh air and got exercise. And so, yeah, it's hard to give yourself permission to do it.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's our culture,
Yeah.
you know. I think it's getting better than it used to be.
I hope
Um,
so.
and kind of interestingly, I think, if you go back 30 years or 40 years, people were not doing that. They weren't, I'm just saying they weren't
Right.
pushing themselves. They weren't running themselves ragged. They weren't, right? That just started kind of happening, plus or minus the 2000s.
That's why I love podcasts too, because you
Yeah.
can walk and listen to them.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's lovely. And so if you're
Yeah.
sitting at a
Yeah.
computer all day
Yes.
long, go for a walk, listen to a great podcast, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty fantastic. But you're right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that it really has evolved into a more sedimentary work life in the last, decade
Hmm.
too.
Hmm. Yeah. And at the same time, oh, I have to get everything done before I can go home.
Yes. and you just keep going, and there's always something else. There's always one more email.
Yes. Oh, one more coffee. I'll go get another cup of coffee. That'll get me through the end, right?
Now they just need that dandelion root, reishi mushroom,
There you go.
ashwagandha, holy basil, cup of tea, or maybe you just put it under your armpit.
Yeah, well, there you go.
With your
That would
deodorant.
work. Yeah, for
You
sure.
just gave me a good product development idea. I need to put some dandelion root in the next one.
Ah, okay. Okay. Interesting.
Love the plants. There's always fun things we can do with them.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So, do you sell mostly online then for your
We
products?
do.
Or?
I mean, I would say if you go to greengoo.com, you can get the breadth. You know, we have the Southern butter on that website. So everything is there. Amazon.
Okay.
Of course, we're in pharmacies and grocery stores and
Oh,
natural
okay.
food stores, but it's more sprinkled. You know, there's just maybe this or that product. So if you're looking for more, you know, the whole assortment, then that's where I would suggest going.
Yeah.
The plant-based toothpaste is fun. My daughter helped me develop that. She was like, Mom, why do people think that kids like bubblegum toothpaste? I don't want bubblegum toothpaste, but I don't want a mint toothpaste that tastes synthetic. And the fact that she knows the word synthetic. And so she helped me
And how
develop.
old is she? And
She's
how
12.
old? Oh my
She was
God.
10.
Okay.
She was 10 at the time.
Okay.
And so she actually,
okay.
yeah. Says the girl that every time I would go in her room when she was little, I would find potions everywhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's definitely my daughter who's like whipping up all kinds of formulas in her bedroom. And they're like, who knows what's in them?
That's because
glitter.
because of she's trying to be like you.
Oh, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. But yes, she helped formulate the toothpaste, and we went back and forth with because it's, you know, peppermint essential oil to get it just right. So that, and this summer she had forgot her toothpaste and she went camping. And so she had to borrow one of her friend's toothpaste. And she came back. She's like, Mom, I do not know how they use that toothpaste. She's like, it's terrible. I'm like, well, good job, formulator.
Yes, exactly. So she should be giving all of her little friends a present of the toothpaste.
The good toothpaste, the Good Goo toothpaste.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
I will say for Halloween, we usually pass out little small, like lip balm sizes of Green Goo. And it's always sweet that the parents are saying that they're digging in the bags looking for it, and that the kids actually like fight over it, you know. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of nice considering candy is the goal for everybody.
Yeah. See, we won't go there.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I Halloween was not my favorite. I don't like big things of sugar and candy particularly. So that was never. I was a fat kid, but not from candy.
Well, and I mean, my goodness, the amount of sugar consumption that happens now. I mean, we didn't have access to this amount of sugar, along with the fact that it's in, you know, just regular foods. We do this thing called the switch, and so she gets to keep a little bit of the candy, and then that night the switch witch comes and takes all the candy and leaves one present. And so she gets the joy of getting the candy, but she doesn't eat it all, and then get some, you know, miscellaneous presents. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know who brought the switch to life, but it's a great concept.
Yeah, it is.
Except this year she wanted a spa day, and so it wasn't just like a toy. She's like, "Can I get a spa day from the switch?" I'm like, "Okay, you're still 12."
Oh, that's funny. She's not going to be 12 for very long, though, even if she's maybe her calendar age, but not her point of view.
She's amazing.
Well, that's all right. Sure. She sounds like she'll be a great person to have come into the business and run it with you and after you.
That would be pretty special. Going. That would be really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what glitter things she'll develop. We'll have glitter in our deodorant.
Hey, Yee.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
no.
that sounds horrible.
It does sound horrible. They all have glitter and everything, but she'll come up with a plant-based alternative. She'll nail
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I'm not sure one would want to have glitter in
Oh no.
one's
Yeah.
underarms.
No.
It would not be good for one's clothes.
No. No.
But anyways, okay, back to the subject at hand.
Segue.
Yeah. So is most of the line for women, or is it both genders, or how does
It
that
is.
work?
It's both genders. I would say, traditionally, of course, in the body care industry, it's a more female predominant consumer base. But what's unique about Green Goo
Uh-huh.
is that we're closer to 50-50. It's a little bit more women,
Great.
like maybe 55-45.
Uh-huh.
But it was interesting. Like I was doing an interview I guess about a month ago, and this woman's like, I couldn't put my finger on why I knew Green Goo, why I knew Green Goo. And she was like, and then all of a sudden I got in my car to go do something and I saw the tin of Green Goo and was like, that's the thing that my husband always buys. And so it's pretty
Ah,
fun that it is a product that, at least branded wise,
uh-huh.
doesn't feel incredibly feminine, but it's
Yeah.
utilitarian. And so, men are more likely to adopt it. I've had
Uh-huh.
men tell me I've never had anyone compliment my skincare, and nor have I ever done skincare. And then
Hmm.
I started using your product because maybe they had a sunburn because they were golfing. So they put on the first aid or the repair. And
Hmm.
then people started complimenting their skin. So they just kept using it. And
Uh-huh.
they're like, my mother, he's like, my mother's 85 and has never given me a compliment in my life. And she looked at me and goes, son, your skin looks amazing. So I was like, I'm still using it. My father, he is
Uh-huh.
72 and he uses the Green Goo on his face and
Uh-huh.
he doesn't use anything.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's very easy to implement.
Uh-huh.
Um and we have these little sticks, and so I keep like a stick on my nightstand. My husband has
Ah,
a stick
okay.
on his nightstand, and he
Uh-huh.
can just put it on real easy and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
good to go.
Wow. Wow. I'll have to get some of that stuff.
We'll make sure you do. It's great.
Ooh, how exciting.
And it's great
No.
when you see the guys actually, using it. And especially if you work with
Yeah.
your hands too. My husband works with his
Mm,
hands a lot.
mm.
And so typically at the end of the night, he's putting the first aid all over his
Uh,
different cuts and scrapes and that kind of stuff. And it's just so
mhm.
soothing. And I was segue again, but I was working on our floor, cleaning the grout,
Oh
and
God.
my
Oh
hands
my
were
God.
just
Oh,
raw, like raw.
you're better than
And
I am. I don't do
oh,
that.
it had to get done. It was a disaster. And I mean,
Yeah.
in some places, like I was bleeding, and I was breaking through the gloves. So like the gloves weren't
Right. Yeah.
working. And I mean, I put the Green Goo on before I went to bed, and the next day my hands were like, oh, it was pretty magical.
Wow. Wow.
And
That
the
sounds
topical
great. Yeah.
analgesic, that's a good one for, inflammation and pain. So matter of fact,
Ah,
we
okay.
have a customer who was Jane Doe number one. She was the first person pulled from the World Trade Center. And she had significant injuries, significant injuries.
I
And so,
bet.
oh, and what's great is she's become like a dear friend now. But she reached out
Huh.
and
Uh-huh.
she was using our products for her opioid withdrawal. And she said it was the only product that helped her with her muscle pain going through the opioid withdrawal. And she's like,
Oh,
can I get a bigger size? So we just started making
yeah.
her a bigger size. Um, but it's a testament to like the arnica concentration in this, because we're the ones doing the infusion, is so high, combined with all of these
Wow.
other herbs
Uh-huh.
and essential oils to increase blood flow and so forth. And then it's lovely that she's been, some of our customers just become friends.
Yeah.
Holidays, we're checking in with each other, and they're so
Uh-huh.
gracious in terms of
Oh,
sharing their
wow.
stories.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
That's the stuff that
Huh.
gets me going every day, for sure.
Yeah, I bet it does. I bet it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's well, people as they get older, as I well know, the aches and the pains and the you step down and that's I did it today. I was going down the stairs, we have stairs in the house,
Mhm.
going down the stairs and hit my foot not real well on it, right?
Mm.
And anyway, and just pulled something right across the top in the center of my kneecap.
Oh,
I don't even know what I don't know why, I don't know. And now it's like if most of the time it's not bothering me, but every once in a while I just kind of step a little wrong and it's like, oh
yep.
damn. Okay.
And then you don't know how long it's going to stick around. You're like, is this going to be
No,
a short thing or is this going to hang on for a
thank
while?
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And and I am also notorious for not picking up my feet.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I've
yeah.
I've have done a lot of falls.
Mm.
That
That is,
actually didn't start that long ago. I mean, it's been a few years, but it was didn't do it very much before, but just like the last 4 or 5 years.
and then you bruise
It's kind of
easier,
funny.
and then
Yes,
that in itself, you're like, I don't even remember hitting my elbow, but I guess I did because I have a big bruise.
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. For sure. And yeah, yeah, I've hit my head a number of times. Oh, that's been fun.
Mm, that is not fun. No.
No, it's not. It's not. The old memory is not as good as it used to be.
And it doesn't need to be, and that's okay too.
Yeah, I know.
Um, but it is nice to, this is why we're going to get you a bunch of goo so you can have it in random places for when you need a
I
cut
like
or a
that.
scrape, or you've got one of those bruises you weren't ready for, or you tear something and you want to put the topical analgesic on.
Yeah.
It's incredibly handy to have around. My
Mm,
grandmother, when she was in her late 90s,
mm,
and she's on oxygen and all of these things. She was a diabetic, and I mean, literally, we probably had 4 or 5 different products that we were using throughout the day,
mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm.
for different whether it was helping her with the sores, dry skin,
Yep.
the
Yep.
oxygen, putting the free to breathe under there. A lot of the
Uh-huh.
petroleum products that are out there, you can't be around oxygen. It's flammable. And so you
Oh
got to
my
be really
God.
careful about the products that you're using.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh, I would never have thought of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Sounds like you have a built-in market there.
There you go.
Well, no, I'm
She
serious.
was my great, no, truly. Yeah. She was
Yeah.
my greatest testimony. She was always sharing
Oh
it with her
yeah.
friends at her assisted living. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to, it just works and it makes your life
Right.
more, um, just
Livable.
simple. Yeah. Livable.
Livable.
Exactly. Livable. I like that.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, but seriously, I mean, I'm sure that that's something that they're always warning people about, but they don't really have a solution
Hmm.
or something to replace it
Right.
with. And boy, all you'd need is like one hospital or one thing to, sorry, my marketing background is coming
There
out
you
here.
go. Move over, Aquifer. Here comes the goo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. For sure. Give out a few samples and next thing you know,
There you go. I'm gonna write that down.
yeah, yeah. I have to say I do have a master's degree in marketing, so that's why my
There you go.
brain kind of goes there.
And I'm writing it down so I don't forget
There you
it.
go.
Exactly. Thank goodness for note taking.
Oh my goodness. Yes, for sure. For sure with that. Yes. Thank goodness for recording things.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm notorious for, as I'm starting to fall asleep is when I get a lot of
Oh, yes.
clarity. So I
Yes.
have to hurry up and write it down. and then let it be. And then in the morning, I'm like, gosh, I was brilliant last night. But if I don't write it down the next morning, I'm like, what
Oh yeah.
yeah. And it doesn't come
Yep.
back.
I know that feeling. I
Mhm.
definitely know that feeling. Yeah. 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 I think it's because as we're falling asleep, we all of the um can't think of what the right word is, but not encumbrances, but the things that kind of, I don't know, what do you call those things? Like the walls.
I just call it the space in between for me
Okay.
personally.
Yeah,
And
but I'm
it
just saying this, the
mhm.
things that go down,
Yeah,
right?
all the noise goes
Yeah.
away. Matter of fact, I
Yeah.
can't remember if it was Thomas Edison. There was
Ah,
an inventor who used to hold a ball in his hand and
uh-huh.
start to fall asleep. And
Uh-huh.
and then when the ball would drop, it would wake him up.
Uh-huh.
And that's where his best ideas came from. And so he
That
intended,
sounds like him. Yeah.
yeah, to take that time to capture those ideas. And so that's when I really learned to honor that, what I call the
Mm,
space in between.
yeah.
Instead of just being like, oh, shrug it off. And instead being like, take the time to write that down real quick, and
Yeah.
then you can park it, leave it, go to bed. Um, and then solve all the world's problems.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. The space in between.
Oh, I like that. Actually, isn't there a book or something called that
If there
somewhere?
isn't, there should be.
Space in
Oh, I'm going to
between,
write that
something
down
like that.
too.
Yeah, there you go. Excuse me.
I like that.
Okay, well, we should probably be thinking about wrapping this up so I don't take any more of your time.
It was so fun to visit with
And
you.
yeah, yeah. So, tell everybody what the website is where they can go and
Green,
find you.
greengoo.com.
Okay, and Goo is Goo.
Goo. So it's green like the
Okay,
color, green, goo.com.
okay, great, great. I will definitely put it in the show notes, but I mean, most people are listening to it in their car or when they're walking or whatever, and they're not looking at the show notes. So it's always better to tell them what it
Agreed.
is.
I like that.
And that's
Come
an
and
easy
see.
one to remember. I like that.
It's
So
unusual. It'll
it
stick.
is. It is. It definitely is. So I am going to wrap up by saying what I always end up saying, which is that neither of us are doctors, and this is not to be seen as medical advice. And thank you very much for coming online with me and spending this time. It's been a lot of fun and very informative
God
for
bless you,
sure.
Susan. Thank you so much. It's been fun and appreciate your time.